Hello everyone and welcome to today's webinar on patenting of pharmaceutical drugs of COVID-19, hosted by Ram Narayan College of Law. And the resource person for today is Dr. Gopakumar G. Nair, sir. I, on behalf of our college, thank you, sir, for accepting our invitation. Today, I would take this privilege to introduce to you Dr. Gopakumar G. Nair, sir, who is a trained and practicing lawyer having experience of more than 40 years in pharmaceutical and chemical industry. Sir has done his PhD in more than in organic chemistry and is a registered patent and trademark attorney. He has authorized a large number of scientific technical researches and popular publications. Sir has also represented Indian chemical industries at 11th World Session and is the ex-chairman of Pharma Panel of Chemixel. Before I hand over the mic to Sir, I have few housekeeping items to cover about this presentation. First, the participants are requested to keep their mics on mute and to maintain the decorum of the webinar. Anybody found doing any kind of mischief would be expelled from the meeting. Second, the registered participants would be receiving a feedback form and only after the submission of same certificates will be issued to you within next 15 working days. Lastly, we would like to hear from you during the webinar. If you have any questions for our speaker, please send it through the chat box. We will be answering all your questions at the end of the session. I again request you to not to unmute yourself. Without any further ado, please welcome Dr. Gopakumar G. Nair, sir. Over to you, sir.
Hello. Camera is off, but I am not able to make it on. I am not able to make it on unless you make it. I am not able to make it on. No, mute on. Good morning. Am I audible? Anybody please respond? Participants. Okay. It is showing it mute both camera and here on my. Okay. Good morning, everybody. Faculty members, students, guests, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. I hope you are having. Pardon? Are you able to hear me?
Yes, sir.
Shreya, are you hearing me?
Yes, sir. We are audible.
Good. So all of you must have, I don't think everybody must have seen today's Times of India. Times of India says lockdown hits 20 lakh lawyers and a loss of 20,000 crores in legal industry due to lockdown. That is what today's Times of India had on the front page as well as inside says. So it is really in very trying, difficult times we are meeting today for the legal fraternity, like everybody else. But it's a question of thinking positive, right? Thinking positive is very, very essential, especially in difficult times like this. So since Shreya is in front of me, I can see her. I will ask her a question. What is the opposite of lockdown? You can also, Ankush can also participate, or anybody else can who can respond or who is responsible can respond. What is opposite of lockdown?
So,
In a
Unlocking,
reopening,
Eh?
sir.
unlocking a particular situation.
You are. How can you be happy with lockdown? You are to think positive. You have to be happy with something. You have to be happy with lockdown. So you are not in the opposite of lockdown. You are extremely happy that you are not in lockup. Hello, you are lawyers. You should know. Lockdown is better than anyway being in lockup. Some sort type of seclusion is there, lockup type, but it is in your house or in your own with your own people. So think positive and also act positive. These are times when you have an opportunity to read up, to learn, unlearn and relearn, because we are going through difficult times, changing times. The present time is actually a real changing times, and you people must be extremely feeling sorry for being exposed to such a situation, but you should also feel happy that you can tell your grandchildren that, you see, we lived in those times, when such a, after World War II, I lived in World War II times, even though I was a child. But I can say that from World War II times, of course, India was not affected by World War. We are going through the most difficult time. Okay. Now, with this introduction, I will go to my presentation. Can you upload my presentation, please? Yeah. 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 In the meantime, what I would like to say to brief you is more about the patent law. I was given an option for going for copyright or other forms of intellectual property rights. I preferred patent law because it is more technical. I am more in the field of technology. So we are going through today we are going to discuss patent law in the context of the current COVID epidemic or COVID scenario. So basically we are, subject matter is patenting of pharmaceutical drugs in times of COVID-19, scope and challenges. By the time the organizers upload my presentation, I would like to is it possible for you? Yeah, there you are. There you are. Thank you very much. So, yeah, thank you. So, I will be operating the correct. I see. Okay, 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 okay. Okay, next slide, please. So, the subject matter is on intellectual property. I am sure all of you are quite familiar with the basics. I am not going to elaborate on that. Like every property, intellectual property also are associated with rights. And of course, I would like to mention here itself that rights come with obligations. If you have a property, you have to maintain it. You have many reasons to take care of it and appropriate it in a legal manner. And so property and rights always go together. I'm not elaborating into it, but when it comes to intellectual property, the rights are very akin, very similar to regular real properties. So various intellectual properties are there. Idea and expression lead to copyright. Idea, innovation, invention leads to patent. Idea, quality, and identity of a product which you associate with it leads to trademark. idea in the form of a visual appearance, aesthetic appearance, without referring to the technology, leads to the design. And when you don't want to go for protecting your idea in any of these manner, statutory manner, you may keep it confidential, in which case you have what called trade secrets or know-how, and where there is no disclosure, it is in the form of confidentiality. So basically, some of the elements of copyright is in that form of works of art. We will come to that a little later, but works of art and literary works cannot be patented. Also, because very specifically, Section 3L and 3N of Patents Act refuses registration of copyright into patent law. And when it comes to innovation and invention, it is about patent. That is the subject matter of today. Trademarks, designs. Of course, copyright, as far as copyright is concerned, currently with the advent of technology, copyright has extended itself to software, codes and things like that. There are extensions of copyright today. Similarly, there are extensions of design also today. Original designs were somewhat similar to works of art, but today design has become very also subject to technological innovations. Some of the designs and patents are both protectable, which we will see in the some of the next slides. Next slide, please. These intellectual property rights, you know, are creations of the mind. All these inventions, literary, artistic works, symbols, etc., names, images, designs, etc., used in commerce, they are all protectable under intellectual property. You can register them, defend them against infringement by others. Next slide. This is the portfolio, intellectual portfolio. You can see, which we have already discussed. Next slide, please. In this slide, what we are trying to tell you is that we mentioned about patents, trademark, designs, copyrights, etc., which are all intellectual properties. Some of them, even though not patentable in the form you develop it, but they can all be applied to the same product. For example, this is an inhaler. This inhaler is protected under this patent because it has novelty and inventive step. It has technology inside which is novel and inventive. So there is a patent. The same product has a brand name, multi-haler. It is protected by, that comes under trademark. The external appearance, the aesthetic appearance, the visual appearance is protected by design. There is a design number here. The package insert, which is how to operate, etc., which is created by the innovator, that is protectable under copyright. You cannot have another inhaler and then reproduce the same package insert. There are innumerable cases where the innovator has sued the generic pharma companies for using their package insert, the innovator's package insert, and they have had to either withdraw or pay compensation for copyright infringement. What is not protected, you may still keep some technology confidential, even though patent law requires that you have to describe the best method or best mode, as in USA. You will get protection only for what you are disclosing, but for purpose of strong technological content, you may keep some very finer element which will add value to your product or the service that the product renders, keep it as a confidential information. For example, in this inhaler itself, the size of the particles and the ratio of particles with the excipient, the carrier, that could have been kept as a trade secret. So all these are possible in the same product. Next one, please. Patent is a protection given to a patentee for an invention, a limited term by the government for disclosing the invention. Right to exclude others. This is where you defend your invention. After registration, you get the right to exclude others. The owner has a qualified right to use the invention. Basically here, especially in country to country, the right to use your invention by excluding others, the ratio varies. Basically, under the original Paris Convention or under the TRIPS, there is a provision having exceptions. So the rights and obligations varies between country to country. For example, the rights of a patentee is very, very much stronger in a country like USA, where the public is supposed to defend themselves or take care of their interests by themselves. In India, for example, rights and obligations are much more balanced, and so India has a patent law which is much more user friendly, or you call it what is called the rights of rem versus rights of personam. They are much more equitable in a country like India. You will see that as we proceed further. It is a qualified right. It has to meet other laws of the land. Next slide, please. These, I call it, this is one of my favorite slides, 3 statutory pillars of patentability. They are novelty, inventive step, and industrial application. So basically, novelty, because of paucity of time, I am not expanding too much, but at the same time, unless I touch upon these basics, I cannot go into the proceed with this further presentation. So I refer to novelty. Novelty is always related to the absence of a single prior art wherein your invention is as such not disclosed. That novelty can be compared with inventive step. Inventive step under section 21J, 21JA is mosaicing of all your knowledge. A person skilled in a particular art, whatever his colleagues or competitors knows, that is considered obvious. And what is not obvious to a person skilled in the art is called the inventive step. Novelty, inventive step, and third one is industrial application. It is related to utility. You require all these 3 elements to get a product approved or accepted for registration for grant of a literary patent, under the Patents Act. Next slide. This is a very simple expression of patentability filter. Most of these slides are proprietary. There is our own creation, but the elements are all known. They are arranged in this order of a patentability filter. You need to have no prior use, prior publication, prior disclosure. You have to check on that. You have to do a patentability search. And if you are getting novelty, inventive step, and industrial utility clear, you can go for all these 3 criteria. Then you can go for a patent application. At the time of filing the patent application, of course, nobody grants you a patent without applying for it. Unlike copyright and trademark, you have an inherent right the moment you have created that. But for legally making use of the statute, you need to register. But as far as patent is concerned, unless you make an application and register and get a patent granted, you are not eligible for you are executing your rights, IP rights. So after filing at the time of filing an application, you have to also see that section 3, that the subject matter which is not patentable, which is specifically mentioned under subsections A to P, you are not coming under that. Of course, these are subject to some discretionary interpretations, etc. That is where the patent attorney comes in to help you to overcome the objections from the patent office. You have to create a written description. The written description format is very well described in the section 10 and other sections of the Patent Act. I'm not going into details of who can patent and what are the procedures, etc. Procedural details are not covered here, but it must meet the enablement requirements. Whatever you are making, for example, application, specification, and claims. What is claimed? Claim is the heart of the patent. So the application is form 1, specification is form 2, and claims, abstract, and drawings, etc. have to be attached. And these claims will need to be supported by the description in the specification. That is what called enablement requirements. Patent prosecution is the procedure that undergoes once you file a patent application till the time it is rejected or granted. All the procedures which happened in patent office is called patent prosecution. Okay. Thereafter, you have a duty to maintain it. You may maintain it, or you may surrender it, or allow it to be seized. Let it be seized. You may not maintain it, or if you are maintaining it and somebody infringes, you have a right to defend it, and it right as well as duty to defend it. So defend it. So it is up to you. Next slide. These are some of the things which are not patentable. I mentioned to you under the patentability filter, section 3. This is related to what is not patentable under section 27(2) of TRIPS, trade related aspects of intellectual property rights, which every patent law of every country has to conform to the TRIPS provisions. So these are some of the non-patentable descriptions, out of which, for example, section mere discovery and abstract, living things or non-living substances. Non-living substances which are already existing in nature cannot be patented. Mere discovery of new form of new property, new use, section 3D. This is a very controversial section of specific to India, more specific to India. There is dispute between India and US on this. We will come to this mere discovery of new form or new property, new use. This will be coming in later during our presentation today. Next slide, please. So these are some of A to D are covered here. E to J are covered here. For example, mere admixture, combining of two things by itself is not patentable under there is synergy. Mere arrangement, rearrangement, etc. not patentable. Testing methods were not patentable, now they are patentable. For example, if you have a new testing kit, rapid test kit for COVID using some instrument, then you can definitely patent it. Method of agriculture or horticulture, not patentable in India. In US, method of treatment, method of horticulture, etc. are patentable. Plants, animals, including seeds, these are not biological processes except microorganisms. These are not patentable in India. So basically, a new method of treatment, a new method of use as in section 3D, etc. are distinguishable between US and other countries as far as India is concerned. Next slide, please. Section 3 continues up to P. So mathematical business method, computer program per se, or algorithms not patentable because the requirement of novelty and industrial application substantially is deficient here. Algorithms, of course, are specifically not patentable. Literary, dramatic, musical, artistic works, or presentation of information, etc., are covered under copyright. So basically, they are not patentable. Topography of integrated circuits are patentable under the specific act, Integrated Circuit Layout Act. So that is not patentable. Traditional knowledge per se is not patentable. So basically, traditional knowledge section P is also related to what India created consequent to the cases of neem, turmeric, etc. India created what is called a TKDL, Traditional Knowledge Digital Library. This is the most unique thing in India, the most voluminous thing in India. Like India has created Mahabharata and various religious scriptures of substantial volumes. So traditional knowledge digital library is a unique creation in India where millions of molecules are covered. They have codified all the texts, Ayurvedic and other Unani and other texts together. Next slide, please. In India, Patent Act is being used for developing or protecting various technologies. New chemical entities, new molecular entities, though very fewer in numbers, very larger companies are engaged in drug discovery research. Multinational companies are more active in this, and many new molecules, even which we are discussing now, like remdesivir, favipiravir, tocilizumab. All these things come under new chemical and molecular entities. Some of them are chemical, some of them are small entities, some of them are biological, large entities. So these are all patentable. API means bulk drugs, the chemicals used in pharmaceutical formulation. These are patentable in different forms, etc. And also the product and process for these things also separately patentable if you are having novelty in that. The largest number of patents in India is done on formulations. Formulations are dosage forms. This is major activity in India by most of the research-oriented organizations, both universities as well as pharmacy colleges, etc. The interesting thing about NCE, NME, etc., is me-too derivatives. You can have APIs also, me-too derivatives. Once imatinib, one nib is invented, that one structure has an activity potential. All the competitors start developing very similar molecules like NIPs, MAPs, tidins. You will see that so many fields of therapeutic category, they are all having very large number of molecules with very similar but different structures. For example, these two are famotidine and diotidine are very similar but slightly different in substitution. So both are independently patentable because when famotidine is patented, the structure of diotidine is not covered in the patent. So similarly, there are great potential for me-too derivative research. Dosage forms like tablets, capsules, others, injections, etc., they are all patentable, provided they meet the novelty and inventive step requirement. What they do is they use very different type of excipients for getting there. Release profile, different control, slow release, modified release, extended release, etc. This different release profile products and processes are also patentable. NDDS, new drug delivery systems. So many new drug delivery systems have been patented in India. India has also been very much ahead of even USA in patenting combination drugs, overcoming the section 3E, that creating synergy in combination. India has been protecting, registering and getting patents for many combination drugs. In fact, US started the combination therapy after India. Of course, India had a compulsion because we were trying to get out of drug price control order by innovating newer and newer combinations. But most important in this slide is new use. New use under section 3D I mentioned are not patentable in India. The repurposing of known molecules, old molecules, now in the light of COVID pandemic, many organizations, including the task force where we are members, we are going through process of repurposing of known molecules. For example, now COVID, even though it was originally thought to be it was affecting the lungs, pneumonia, but today more and more knowledge is coming about the mode of action. It is a coagulant. It creates blood clots, and that blood clots are affecting the heart, the kidney, the lungs, and the oxygen support, etc. Also to the brain. So currently, repurposing includes blood thinning products like aspirin, paracetamol. As you may know already, that many asymptomatic positive people have got cured purely by using paracetamol, 650 mg paracetamol repeatedly, because the blood clots are prevented. So they come, positive people become negative after 4 days, 5 days, or 1 week, only based on paracetamol use. This is a new knowledge, but unfortunately, the new use of any of these known products as such is not patentable in India. Or you can say fortunately, because you will get them generic without the patent protection in such a time as a pandemic. Next slide. This is what when I can see this again. In India, I feel like I belong. When I come to India, if we go say 50 years ahead, I can see India and China battling it out. No, I'm not talking of the battling it out in Ladakh, battling it out to be the new America, to be the dominant economic power, certainly in that half of the world, possibly for the whole world. This is a statement which is made more than 10 years back by famous economist and philosopher Charles Handy, but this is coming true today. Actually, it is more and more clear to the global users that India in the field of pharmaceuticals are emerging as a very dominant power. Even as far as the formulations are concerned, we are far ahead of China as far as the export of formulations. Even though we are dependent on China for some of the APIs or intermediates, we are high quality formulations, high quality vaccines come from India. Almost statistically, 1 of 3 persons in the world, and 1 of 2 persons in the world are using either a Indian pharmaceutical formulation or an Indian vaccine in that order. So there is tremendous contribution. India is known as the pharmacy of the world, generic capital of India. And post-COVID, I think India will emerge much more stronger. Next slide, please. Innovation. How can India emerge? It is through innovation. Very few people know that Constitution of India, the fundamental duties, it is very clearly mentioned. It shall be the duty of every citizen of India to develop scientific temper and spirit of inquiry. This is a time for India to go to the operation of these fundamental duties much more seriously and much more with a statutory bent of mind. Next slide, please. Peter Drucker has said, test of an innovation lies not in its novelty or its scientific content or its cleverness. It lies in its success in the marketplace. The most creative innovations are not beating someone else or being number one, but learning what the world is asking of you and creating that in that arena. This is by Sam Keen. So basically, it is very, very important that innovations must address the needs of the community. The ones who keep in mind the needs of the community, they create blockbusters. Today's blockbusters are created substantially by those who have addressed the needs of the people. But of course, it is unfortunate sometimes you create a product and then create a demand. That is not an ethical approach, which is probably subject for another seminar. So basically, India is very famous. I was in WTO and the judge of the US Supreme Court, I didn't know the subject matter he is going to speak. So his entire speech was related to Indian jugaads. Indian jugaads are those very need-based innovations by the grassroots people. And this India is most famous for. A coconut climbing family, the man's son went to IIT, he produced a coconut climbing machine, which was very simple. It was absolutely, this thing you have to only attach it to your body and it takes you up the coconut tree. So many such inventions are possible. Next slide, please. These are some grants of patents are subject to some conditions. These are different sections of the Patent Act. So it is also, that means government has access, you can access a patent even though the protection is granted. So for different purposes such as government use for hospital, medical institutions, etc., and also for educational purposes. Next one, please. Next slide. These are some of the exemptions I mentioned to you. Paris Convention as well as TRIPS provides certain exemptions. The protection granted under Patent Act are subject to exemptions. In case of special provisions for notification, for in case of certain exceptional circumstances, this can be invoked. So the government is in possession of statutorily all these provisions which can be invoked in case of national emergency, in case of epidemic, in case of pandemic. But presently, the government of India, even though the US has got 28 USC 1498, which has equivalent compulsory licensing provisions of acquiring innovations for government use, or when government is issuing a tender and it is protected by patent, they can give a waiver for the patent protection to the new user who is not the owner of the patent. So basically, some of these provisions are available in India. In the current context, some government could consider invoking them if required, if the repurposed drugs are not available in affordable prices to the patient population. Next slide, please. These are already covered there for use of inventions for government purposes. So third party, they can authorize to third parties for creating them for use of government purposes. Acquisition, the inventions as such can be fully taken over by the government under the sovereign immunity. These provisions are existing. Similar provisions exist in USA also, even though US objects to India using these provisions. So in view of Super 301 and other conflicts in intellectual property between India and US, India is going soft on use of or invoking some of these provisions. But it remains to be seen whether in the COVID context we are forced to use this or not as a government, depending on the government's decision. Next. It is very important under section 107AA, certain acts not to be considered as infringement. Any act, for example, any research, I will briefly mention that you can, even if a product is patented, you can conduct research. It is called a research exemption. In US, it's called under BOLAR provision. You can use that product for research purposes. For example, you can conduct clinical research. For example, even though a product is patent protected in India, you can apply to government for conducting clinical trials on that or a new use or any use. The research exemption under section 107AA gives you that, including for export to a country or etc. And second one is 107A B is talking of importation of patented products. For example, just now, a product called Remdesivir, invented by Gilead for a use other than on COVID, for Ebola, it was lying virtually as an orphan drug, has now become the talk of the town, and everybody is wanting to go for Remdesivir, and they have to prevent government from breaking the patent, or maybe with interest, public interest in mind. Gilead has licensed it to 2 companies in or 1 company in Pakistan and 3 companies in India, 3 pharmaceutical companies in India for use in the COVID. So the Drugs Controller India, the CDSCO, has gone out of the way and also granted permission for use of Remdesivir in COVID. But at the same time, a person who is not actually licensed by Gilead, whether he can go for getting it approved after submission of documents to government and launch the product in India, this is yet to be seen. It depends on the governmental response. Similarly, Bangladesh under TRIPS provisions is a LDC, least developed country, fortunately for them. So the patent law is not applicable there. The company called Beximco, they are one of our clients. Beximco has launched Remdesivir in Bangladesh and marketed it already. Product is available in the market at rupees 6,000, while the US price of Gilead would be much more than 10 times or more than that. So basically, whether we can import Remdesivir of Bangladesh into India is yet to be seen. But legally, technically, this is possible if government gives a permission for this under this section. Next slide, please. Doha Declaration, this happened in 2001. Each member has the right to grant compulsory license and freedom to determine the grounds under which such licenses are granted. So basically, especially in case of public health crisis, including those relating to HIV, AIDS, tuberculosis, malaria, and other epidemics. We are in the other epidemic scenario now. So basically, there is a strong case for ignoring or keeping the patent rights at bay till the COVID scenario is brought under control. available to Government of India. Next slide. This is the most original of 1883 intellectual property right document, statutory provisions started under Paris Convention. In section Article 3A, grant of compulsory license to prevent abuses are mentioned. I don't think there is an abuse scenario current just now, but if in case of needs, we could always, if for example, not available adequately, not available, not accessible at reasonable prices, etc. Paris Convention also says. Next slide, please. Same provision also extends to TRIPS, trade-related aspects of intellectual property rights. This is the document. This is the India signed TRIPS in 1995, and that is why India had to amend the patent law. Some of the TRIPS provisions also gives exemption to rights conferred. Other use without authorization of the right holder is also mentioned, are also one of the provisions. TRIPS is the Bhagavad Gita of all intellectual property provisions. So Indian Patent Act is also drafted to conform with the TRIPS provisions. Next slide, please. Indian pharma companies today have grown. They have become very leaders globally. Most of them have foreign manufacturing facilities. For example, two options for Indian companies: work as IP dolphins or jointly fight the sharks. Currently, over the years, for example, the most famous case in India was Gleevec of Novartis. Cipla and others fought this. Hundreds of crores of legal expenses are involved. So currently, the environment has become much softer. Most of the leading Indian companies are now receiving more and more licenses from international companies, and they are trying to prevent such extreme legal fights without providing the drug in India. So most of them are providing licenses much more freely than in the 90s and 2000 today. And just now, Gilead has licensed the product which I mentioned, Remdesivir, to Cipla, Jubilant Life Sciences, and Hetero. And these companies have been allowed to manufacture. But the recent report says that in an Indian company who probably is working with Cipla, called BDR Life Sciences, BDR Pharmaceuticals, they are also made application to government for introducing Remdesivir in India. So Roche has licensed with Cipla tocilizumab, and Cipla is distributing tocilizumab on behalf of Roche. And a large number of, it has now been found that critical patients in India are greatly benefited by injection of tocilizumab. So tocilizumab, one injection costs in India nearly rupees 60,000. Even though Cipla, it need to be lauded that Roche jointly with Cipla are having a CSR program. They are providing free of cost tocilizumab, provided you approach them with the details and your merit of deserving case. So this is a very, very important development. These two developments are most important developments where Indian companies are working with multinationals compared to earlier days where most of them were fighting with international innovator companies. Today, innovator companies are working with Indian companies who have the potential to support and provide quality medicines. Next slide, please. This is in the context of COVID. The principal scientific advisor, Dr. K. Vijayaraghavan, and his team, of course, ICMR, all these people have been working 24/7, 365 to bring down the impact of COVID by multiple forums. And one of them is the task force under Government of India, jointly with CSIR, DSIR, and other organizations. And this effort of the task force is for repurposing of known drugs, identifying most suitable candidates and try to bring them to market, get them cleared, and try to bring them to market at the fastest possible time. Over and above this, there is a vaccine initiative also going on independently. There are various other initiatives of ventilators and other support systems, etc. But this particular effort is very illustrious, and most technically qualified persons are members of this task force. And we are fortunate as far as the patent aspects of the molecules of for repurposing involved. We have been also requested to join. Our Nanlex Hermeneutics is part of this effort. And we are very successful in supporting these efforts. Already 26 chemical molecules and 9 herbal molecules have been subject of this study, which is very much in progress strongly. Next slide, please. These are what I said, 29 pharma drug candidates and 9 phytochemicals. They have been categorized into 3 categories: 100% FTO, chloroquine, hydroxychloroquine, etc. These are the simplest examples. There are so many others. For example, I just mentioned the example of tocilizumab, which is also coming under a reasonably 100% FTO. The molecules like remdesivir, tofacitinib, etc. are coming under no FTO. What is FTO? FTO is freedom to operate. Freedom to operate in India is allowed. Freedom to operate in India. Freedom to operate in India is required to be not sued for violating the patent law. So, and unless the exemptions are granted by the government. So, those patents which have expired, they come under 100% FTO, and those, the main patent has expired, but there are subsidiary patents which may or may not restrict you, they may not provide obstacles for your launching the product. They come under 50% FTO. So basically, these are the 3 categories. The molecules we are studying, we are identifying and seeing the verifying the status and the possible roadmap for launching these products in India, including for regulatory approval as well as for making the drug available to the needy patients. I think my presentation is over now. I think I have completed my presentation. Correct? One more slide. Okay. Next slide. These are some of the events. Gilead has licensed remdesivir to 3 Indian companies. The licensing agreement terms, including pricing, etc., are not publicly available. It is likely that it can be controlled by the licensor, in which case the price may be it may be priced exorbitantly. Currently, Bexinco, for example, has launched the remdesivir in Bangladesh between 5,000 to 6,000 takas, which is about 60 to 70 US dollars per vial. So this is a benchmark available to us. BDR Pharma, an Indian company, not direct licensee of Gilead, but they have been working with Cipla, is likely to approach for government. It is not yet clear whether this is a part of the licensing deal with one of the Indian companies that BDR Pharma is, or is it independent? But by and large, it looks like with these developments, the drug remdesivir, which is found to be very effective against COVID, is most likely to be available in India at affordable prices sooner. Another drug which is very much in anvil is the antiviral drug favipiravir. This is a Japanese Fujifilm as is the innovator of the owner of the patent. Fujifilm has sponsored regulatory studies against COVID in Japan, and many studies in Korea, in China, in India, for example. Glenmark has initiated phase 3 clinical trials on favipiravir. Strides Pharma has all been granted regulatory approval. Strides, in fact, has started exporting favipiravir to many countries. These two drugs are considered to be most effective against COVID. I already mentioned a third drug, tocilizumab. These are all potential molecules. Some of them are outside patent, some of them are inside patent, but still in the current context of COVID in India, and especially the current trend of increasing spread, we need urgently that these medicines should be available to the public at affordable prices. Thank you very much. Yeah. You can close it if you want, or you can keep it.
Yes, sir. Thank you so much, sir. We have some questions from the participants. Okay.
Any questions? In the meantime, I should thank Dr. Ramanarayan Law College and Dr. A.K. Singh and Ankush and your colleagues, all of you, for making it possible for me to make this possible. Urmila also. Yeah.
May I proceed with the question? So the first question from the participant we have: are there any innovative ways in which the patenting regime can be reformed to ensure accessibility to patented pharma drugs by those who are vulnerable?
Too much echo is there. I would request you without holding it, just repeat it. Yeah.
Are there any innovative ways
Yeah.
in which the patenting regime can be reformed to ensure accessibility to patented pharma drugs by those who are vulnerable?
Yeah. These are my subject of my presentation was substantially the same. Only thing is, you see, for example, in these COVID times, the law students, for example, many of the law students were studying at home or working from home, or even law professionals. They have all opportunity to work for the good of the community. So some of them which we are missing out, if you are only working for money, then you are missing out on the pressure of serving the community in a larger way. So creating policy and getting the policy implemented, etc., are the responsibility of the legal community. So basically, I explained to you various provisions. My subject was, I was wondering whether I am doing the justice to you. But now this question is very amply answered in many of my slides or my presentation as a whole. So you can share this with the person who asked, then he can further follow. Yeah.
So the next question we have is patentability and the monopoly exclusive regime the only way of incentivizing research and innovation?
I can't.
Is patentability
Yeah.
and the monopoly exclusive regime the only way of incentivizing research and innovation?
Oh, yeah. Research and innovation is a very costly process, and over the years, with the regulatory framework becoming stiffer and tighter, the uh, need for financial support has substantially gone up, and patent protection is the only way for providing some reimbursement opportunity for the money that has been spent on such research. So basically, however, I must add something here. The industry academia collaborations in country like US and Europe and Japan, etc., very, very, very high. So a large number of researchers, including the big blockbuster molecules, including many of these which I have mentioned, they are all done basically in the universities, large universities, and pharmacy and medical colleges, and then licensed to, because they cannot make a product to take a product to the marketplace. So the pharma companies have alliances with them, but very often the remunerative prices which are granted to the pharma companies are far in excess of their expenses, research expenses, especially considering that lot of research expenses are undertaken in the academic institutions. So there has to be some need for a balancing. I mentioned about rights and balances. So there is still some room. So, however, Indian companies are not having enough um, financial muscle. They don't have enough savings to conduct new drug research. So some of them have moved out into Europe, in maybe into Switzerland or to US to do further research and to create more funding opportunities. Yeah.
Thank you, sir. The next question we have is, the generic drugs are using the formula made by original companies. So, how does it affect the patent and what remedies do the original company have?
See, patenting per se is country-wise. It is, for example, you have a US patent and you don't have an Indian patent. You can have freedom to operate in India. But if a company in India who has freedom to operate in India, he cannot export to US because there is a US patent. But as far as the second part of that is, patents are granted territory-wise, and patent is also granted for a term. Term of patent is now, earlier every country had their own term, 7 years, 14 years, 20 years, 17 years. Today, under TRIPS, all countries have 20 years patent term. So if a patent, a primary patent, is a main patent expires, the other people are free to manufacture that, free to do anything with that, because the patent term has expired. However, there are very often secondary patents or family patents or progeny patents. Some of them they try to enforce, but by and large, once a patent term expires, till the expiry of the patent, the innovator is allowed to reap all the harvest all the monies on that marketed product. Once it is expired, it is freedom to operate. Everybody is. This is the statute as on today globally under TRIPS as well as in individual patent acts of these countries.
Thank you, sir. The next question: how will compulsory licensing work in India for a patented drug that works for COVID-19?
Oh my, it's a very loaded question. Actually, we had only one compulsory license in India, Nexavar, This was somewhere around 2012 or so. That granting of that compulsory license in India created big storm, big cyclone all over the world, especially from US and Europe, mainly US. And they are still smarting from the wound of one compulsory license grant in India. So Super 301 or various other intellectual property scriptures against India, which is coming out from US, they are all referring to this one compulsory license. In US has a similar provision under US Code 28 USC 1498 is dealing with patented use of patents for government use. This provision is there, but when India does something like that, US is likely to come up with arms against India. So whether it is very clear under, as I mentioned, under Paris Convention, under TRIPS and Indian patent law in section 92, you can invoke the government provision of exemption and allow a patented drug to be made in India very clearly. Whether the government has the will to do it, that is up to the government. But it will depend on the public pressure. Some NGOs have already asked for it. Government of India themselves spoke about using some of these powers in one of the international forums. But whether they will actually do it or not, it has to be seen. Whether the need to use it will not come if the innovator company is making it public. For example, Tesla, a automobile company who made the electric car, Elon Musk opened up all his patents for public use. But still nobody has come up with the electric car. So it is not only the patent protection which makes people to do things, their technological capability is also required. But India has definitely the technological capability to produce any drug, any active ingredient, any biosimilar or any formulation. But government of India must act in the light of COVID pandemic. But if the international companies don't want India to act, they should themselves act to make it liberally licensed and without price control in India.
Thank you so much, sir. One of the participants has asked, Cipla has said that it would be making vaccine for COVID. So how would its patenting go on?
Oh my. I personally am of the opinion patenting of vaccine is rather doubtful. Okay. So in India, for example, very clearly I told you the sections under section 3, method of treatment as well as using biological materials other than microorganisms is not patentable. India, for example, is the largest producer of vaccines in the world. Serum Institute, Bharat, this thing at they are all big vaccine manufacturers. Cadila also gone into this thing now. So basically, vaccines is not everybody's game, and vaccine is not something which can be protected easily, because very often they are biological materials, and most countries the vaccine patent is not possible. Yeah.
So the next participant is asked, should patents be granted to drugs which are being used to treat coronavirus currently be rescinded in order to ensure distribution of drugs to the ones actually suffering?
I already answered that. This is all the subject matter of today's lecture, today's presentation, that we need government of India to the already proven molecules, only 1 or 2 are protected heavily, or 4 or 5 maximum. They are protected heavily in India. Patent, for example, the remdesivir patent has been granted only in February 2020. So basically, there are certain protected molecules. The use of them has to be more liberally licensed. That's called voluntary licensing. I personally feel in the context of the pandemic, the international companies must liberalize the licensing. Licensing provisions are not publicly known, but they should not have any control on the pricing. Pricing should be left to the licensee, and they should be guided by the need in the marketplace. I just mentioned, even though tocilizumab has been licensed only to Cipla, Cipla has a major program for making the drug freely, as it is 60,000 rupees for one injection. Very often, a patient requires 1 or 2 or 3 injections because he is already in very, very critical stage. It's only given to critical patients. But then, Cipla has a program of providing it free. So these are some of the voluntary efforts. I strongly recommend that all players, both international as well as Indian, must resort to more patient-friendly, voluntary approaches in pricing, free distribution, etc., which is already happening. I wish that this should happen much more in other effective molecules and vaccines in India. For example, in vaccine, there are many, many studies going on. Serum Institute itself is working on 3-4 vaccines. And Bharat Biotech is working on, in collaboration with somebody on one vaccine. So about 90 to 100 vaccine efforts are going on globally. But out of which about 7 to 8 are in the forefront. And I am very confident by end of the year, the vaccine will be available, hopefully. And so to be seen how effective that vaccine is, because while we are all working overtime 24/7 to create vaccines, I don't know whether the virus is staying constant or it will mutate. Yeah, okay.
There's a participant who asked, why is it useful to patent vaccines or drugs during a pandemic?
No, I don't think. This is not a time for worry about patenting of vaccines. Vaccines have to be made available to the public at large, and I don't think any India normally 100% India will not grant a patent for a vaccine, but globally it is not likely that the availability of vaccine will be restricted through patents. So it is a biological process, and the human element in that is much lower. The vaccine is curing this thing, and it is like artificial intelligence. So the question of patenting artificial intelligence, you will give a grant a patent to a robot or not? That is the question. So basically today, biological materials are like that. In India specifically, no patents. And globally also, most people will not be talking even about patent of vaccine. It will be first effort to make it available to needful people globally.
So the last question we have for the session is, does Indian patent or pharmaceutical drugs give global protection?
No, a patent in India, there is under Article 6 of TRIPS, Trade Related Aspects of Intellectual Property Rights, under Article 6, there is a provision called exhaustion of patents. It can be national or international. So India mostly practices national protection only. Indian patent is protectable only in India. So basically, for example, US patent is protectable only in US, but any product which is patented in US, if it gets imported to US can sue the company, even if it is located there. Under international laws, they can sue for taking the product to the protected territory of United States. So basically, Indian patent is only valid in India, nowhere else. So territorial jurisdiction is very, very clear. Territorial jurisdiction, term of patent being 20 years, all these are limiting factors for a patent.
Thank you so much, sir, for answering all the questions. I
My
would now
pleasure.
request Priyal to kindly deliver the vote of thanks.
Oh, make it short.
Yes, sure, sir.
You have already thanked me by inviting me to speak to you. Yeah. Thank you. You are, I am looking. Yeah, yeah. Priyal, Ankit.
Yes.
Shreya.
Uh,
Thank you.
I, Ms. Priyal Shah, feel honored to have been asked to propose a vote of thanks on this occasion. I, on behalf of Thakur Ramnarayan College of Law, extend a very hearty vote of thanks to our Honorable Delegate, Dr. Gopa Kumar Ji Nair, sir, for gracing us with his presence. I especially liked Sir's speech where he mentioned the opportunities in India for patenting and the pharmaceutical drugs, as well as the way he answered the questions was very informative. The way he explained the topic was exemplary. I also wish to express my gratitude to our principal sir, Dr. A.K. Singh sir, for giving us this opportunity to organize this event. I'm very grateful to our teachers who helped us to organize this event successfully. As no event is successful with a single person, so I extend my big thanks to all my fellow colleagues working backstage for their support. And lastly, thank you all the participants for being patient audience. There is a small note for the participants that the feedback form would be uploaded in the chat box. Please do fill that before leaving the meeting. Once again, thank you, sir, and everybody else for making this event a successful event with your contribution. See you in next webinar. Till then, stay home, stay safe. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Dr. A.K. Singh. Thank you, colleagues. God bless you all. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah.